Hello, folks. What's happening? So yes, we meet again, and yeah, I'm not always alone. Just like you are not alone in that particular situation. We are here for you. So today, welcome to Lift As You Rise podcast, and today we are joined by one by one of our one of the most beautiful, adventurous human beings I've ever seen. So she's gonna introduce herself. And you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. Wait
But
a minute, bro. Because Pela Ageko Anazit. Unfortunately, you guys, Ageko Anazit, your favorite here, but our next
oh
episode to
yeah,
Double Corner.
yeah.
And Happy New Year.
All right. Isn't it like a bit late to say Happy New
Never
Year?
mind about that. But
Um,
yeah, Happy New Year, guys. All the best. Mnyakeni lo musha nibe nemnyaka lo grandi. Yeah, loko lengakusho.
all right. So now we're gonna. Oh yeah, Anna's yeah. She's not here today, but she's gonna join us on our next episode.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm giving our guest the platform to introduce herself.
Oh, is it me, the most adventurous person?
Yeah, like
Oh.
yeah.
Hi, guys. My name is Demansele Palesa, but a lot of people know me as Palesa, but on the socials, it is blackflower_SZ. And I am honored to be part of Lift As You Rise podcast today.
Black flower. Wow. So that's you on Instagram, right?
Yes, and Twitter as well, and all of
I'm gonna have to follow you right away, straight up. And yeah. So guys, today's topic we're gonna be looking into how do parents contribute in their children's mental disorder. This is part two of the episode we introduced last time. So this is part two, where Balesa is gonna tell us more about that. So Balesa, firstly, what do you think a child is, and what do you think a parent is, according to your perspective?
According to my perspective, a parent is a person that has biologically contributed to bringing on a new life into the world. So, and a child is a person that has been sired by two people and was brought into the world.
Hmm. Wait, sorry, I didn't get that. Like a parent is.
A parent is a person, according to my perspective,
Uh-huh.
a parent is a person that has biologically contributed to a person, to a new life being brought into this
Oh,
world.
Okay.
okay. It makes sense. And then like a child
A child is a person that has been sired by two people
by two
to
people.
exist in this world.
Wow,
What a
that's
beautiful thing.
that's nice. So I was sad by my mom and dad, obviously. All
Exactly.
right.
It can never be one. It only takes two people. It always takes two people.
How I wish people could, you know, not just like in making kids, like also, but get a look at the things that you want to do. If you have an idea and you want to do it, you will definitely need the other person. They
Yeah.
say no man owns an island.
Yeah.
So normalize work like collaborating with people and like sharing resources in order for you to have your ideas implemented and all of that. you know
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
and yeah, moving on from that, like do you do get it right?
Yeah.
All right. So Balesa, uh, how best do you think parents contribute to what we call mental disorder in their children's lives?
Um, First and foremost, I would like to also just emphasize that just because we are addressing and we're talking about parents contributing doesn't mean
Uh-huh.
that they're the sole reason,
Uh-huh.
because there's so much more that contributes that to mental disorders, like biological examples, and the list is endless, really. But I do think that parents do play a major role into a child's mental health, even when you proceed to adulthood. How you were raised and how you grew up is a very, very big factor, because parents are the primary social group of everyone's life, the
Okay.
family structure.
Which
Interesting.
means loyo muntu nangabe akhulile abusive towards labanye bantfu kusuke kusekhaya or nguye nje abusive.
Um, hurt people hurt people.
Okay.
There's not a single person that is happy and that is doing well that would want to inflict pain on someone else.
What? Like hurt people hurt people.
Yes.
It's actually my first time hearing that. Um, no one is hurt and wants not to inflict pain on the other.
Yeah, when you're happy, that's what you want to spread. You want to spread joy. You want to spread positivity. Even you, when you wake up in a good mood, that's how you want everything to be around you. And even when you are stressed, normally sometimes you find yourself snapping
Huh.
because you kind of just you need an outlet, and that person at that moment in time is the outlet. So yeah, there's no person that is abusive because they're okay. When you're abusive, it means there's a problem.
Okay.
Now it makes
Very
sense.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it makes sense because I was chilling with some dude, and it was like telling me about how his upbringing and stuff. And I'm just like, okay, so now looking at you, because like you've been brutalized a couple of times. What do you think? And then he's like, Ish, bro, I like the only thing I want now is like to just avenge myself. And I'm like, dude, how can you do that? I mean, the people who brutalize you are not here. So whom are you going to avenge yourself to? Like, he's like, no, I'll just do ABC. And I'm like, bro, it's more like you are saying you want to inflict pain on innocent souls. They were not there when everything
Mm.
happened, but now you just want to take it out on them. And I think that's where GPV kind of gets to be part of this whole thing.
Yeah.
But anyways, we'll talk about that some other time. It makes sense for me.
But
What
I
you are saying
think
makes
as
sense.
as we are as we are on that line for now, I think as individuals we need
Mhm.
to understand that there's so many things. Life hasn't been fair to a lot of people, and it's always
Yeah.
important to remember that you're not the only one, and it's okay. It probably shaped you in a different way, and there are a lot of ways that you've gotten to adapt, because sometimes we have toxic traits among us, not because that's what we want, but because that's how we learned to protect ourselves. And it is important to remember and make healing your own responsibility. The people that have hurt you, unfortunately, cannot always amend. You have to amend yourself and go through the process. That is why I'm a big advocate of therapy. Get therapy, guys,
Hmm.
always.
You are reminding me of something that happened recently. You know, um, well, let me share my story. Like I was in this ship apparently, and yeah, things were good. Like just good things. And then girl happened to anyways, we'll share some other time, not today. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. It's just that, like it kind of takes me back to that story of mine. I'll share it, I think, before the end of the podcast. So moving on from that, uh like do you think is it's necessary, for parents to keep on, beating children nowadays? Do you think it's still relevant looking at today's generation and the times we live in now? It's more like a modern world. It's everything is digitalized. I mean, do you think it's still
Mhm.
relevant to just beat your kid?
Um, I think it's very argumentative because there are different styles of parenting. At the end
Uh-huh.
of the day, it's important to remember that you are trying to raise a child who you want to be a functional member of society, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I do think that parents do need to learn different ways of discipline, because physical punishment is not the only way to discipline a child. So, yeah.
How like how I wish like parents could take that, because like that's what I've been telling my mom, in fact, because like at home where we have like a 5-year-old, and then sometimes you find that she kind of inflicts violence, not that harsh, but just, hey, stop doing that,
Mm-hmm.
but inflicting violence. And I'm like, no, mom, sometimes like there are situations, that do not need violence, there could be a situation that just requires your talk,
To talk, that's true.
and then there could be maybe that instance where you find, oh, okay, now I think I might need to give this particular child a hiding, like just
Mm.
just a little bit,
Yeah.
you know.
I think also because there are also different styles of parenting.
Uh-huh.
I think there's the authoritative s- style where a parent there's just like clear, it's like military. Yabona nje masotsheni
Mm-hmm.
ukuthi either this and nakungenzeki kanje sibaqo siyakhala. It's like there are rules and there's punishment when those rules are not meant, you know. And it's not really okay ukuthi ungakhulisa umfana under that hand, because you also, they don't become their own person. Whatever it is that they do, it's because you said it, and if I don't do it like this, then I'm going to be punished.
Right.
And of
Mhm.
which it leads to them not trusting their own voice, because they've never been given the chance to exercise it, to
Mhm.
exercise what is it that they want, whether this is what I want to do now, and me realizing my, because I think it also comes from, because it's not also bad, guys. Let's not now paint parents as if they're the worst
Okay.
people on earth. It comes from their perspective. It comes from protecting you and
Uh-huh.
not wanting you to do this. I don't want you to. Why am I getting a five? I don't know. Like there's so many things. There are so many rules at a different household that they need to be met. And
Uh-huh.
majority of the time you find that it's because of your protection. But sometimes it's just also important to, as you have mentioned, they just need you to sit down and talk to your child,
Mm.
and have them understand why you would want them to do certain things like this, other than just it's either this or that. Because it's very important for us to grow up and trust our own voices and trust our own decisions. Because when you grow up in that environment, or you raise your children in that environment, they're most likely going to suffer with decision making. You've always made the decisions for them. You've always everything. That is how you've always penned out. And nobody wants an adult that can't decide, which leads
Mhm.
to certain things, anxiety also, because what if I do this and then what? Even with socialization, you find that they're probably isolated because I have strict parents and I don't know how to make friends. My parents have always advised me against friends.
Oh
There's a
boy.
lot of there's a lot of things.
Okay.
While talking about being strict, I think, in fact, like I was in a conversation with some of my community members, like and the leaders too, and then while sitting there, like I just asked them that, do you think it's still relevant for parents to be strict, And then one said, well, it's not necessarily being strict, but it's more like monitoring, your child, from this and that and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, I don't know if that's what I wanted to get, but I'm just like, if I may ask, do you think it's still relevant for parent to be strict nowadays?
I think it's relevant for parents to adapt to the authoritative style of parenting.
Uh-huh.
I need the previous one that we talk about is the authoritarian,
Uh-huh.
of which it's the iron fist hand, basically. So with this style, parents have the clear standards and rules. And
Huh.
then that's how, like, we have a conversation that this is how this household is going to be run.
Okay.
And if not, APC and APC will happen, right? And instead of being the boss, you actually also allow the child to be an active member of their lives as well. Because at the end of the day, it's not like sisibantwana abaphume, just do whatever it is, just don't, because it is important to parent them and raise them right, but also raise them right with in line of them with them understanding that they are also responsible for their own lives. They are their own boss.
Exactly.
Just give them the authority over their lives, but also managing theirs in a way. And kube ngukuthi nje no phela ngiyakubonisa ukuthi akuhanjwa kanje, you know. And also give them the room to know that they can come to you when things are not okay. They need to know that. You shouldn't need to know that I can always count on my parents. And it's so surprising how children do well, or teenagers or people actually, how people do well when they are given the liberty to make their own choices, you know.
It's freedom and space.
Exactly, freedom and space. I mean, sometimes, because at the end of the day, it's parenting, guys. I mean, I feel like it just needs to be governed by prayer, because you can only do so much and a child just becomes, and you're like, angikhulisanga kanje, you know. But overall, kumcolo kokuthi vele abe nayo le choice and understanding of their lives, so that they can trust their voices even when they grow up.
Okay, shothi ngalamanye amagama othi umntali kumele amnikeze enough information lakayidingako as lo mfana or i-adolescent ukuze athathe ema-decisions kwayena.
Precisely.
Okay.
And it's easier for them to know. And it's easier when you have that open relationship. Like if my parent is strict and uhlalela kongishaya, I won't be able to tell you that, yo, lana I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
You know?
And like,
I'm making an example.
Yeah, like, and that's what I was saying, in fact, like the other time, that, you know, parents have to actually create that positive space, you know, for us to just say anything, you know, like express ourselves to them. Like, because in that way, I don't think there could be a need for me, instance, to like just go probably like to my neighbor and ask for
That's true.
advice, you know,
That's true.
knowing that I have parents who
parents
could like
who can-
actually help me. Wow.
Because if I can come back and say, hey, mom, I have failed, you know, that gives you the chance to tell your child that it is okay. Failure is a part of life, you know, other than them feeling like failure is the worst thing that can happen on them on their lives, and then probably commit suicide. So many things. But if the parent has an open space and an open platform with their child, it makes life so much easier, because I know I can always come to you for guidance. You are older, I trust your judgment. Because if I can't come to you, then automatically you're sending me to someone else. You don't know which person I'm going to meet. Some people take advantage of situations like that, because I don't know better and you know better. You're going to lie to me, manipulate me, and use me. But as my parent, you are the only one that can actually make sure that whatever difficulties I'm facing, I am properly ushered into it, because life is life and it will life.
So uma ngabe lo mfana ku-situation yokuthi okay usesikoleni right, kepha tifunda ngithi form 1, kepha tifunda, then akafika ekhaya obviously bavame ukuthi esikoleni like mabe kepha tifunda ube like hambe ekhaya ecabangani kusona. Then akafika ekhaya abe like make alright khetha ama-sciences noma athi khetha boma-accounts, but wena uyathatha nje uthi uhlata kametsi. So le situation leyo ikanjani? Ungathini nje kubatali ngale situation?
Like parents choosing careers for you.
Yeah.
I think it's negligence over parents, and nabo to a certain extent, because it's also important to remember, we're blaming them to as if they are incapable and they're not doing enough. They think they're doing enough, but it is important to be as involved to your child's life. Funny enough, someone once told me that by the age of 5, a child shows you their strengths, their weaknesses, and what they're most passionate about, because your purpose is with you from birth, right? So as parents, it is important to notice their strengths and weaknesses as they come along, and areas where you think they can strive the most. So not to, because oftentimes you find that parents give advice, Tatama sciences, because you think that is what the child needs, because you think that's how best life should be. Because, but dokotela bahola kahle. You can never go wrong with law, you know. but you actually don't know your child enough. You're using your own worldview, and you are forcing it onto your child's life. So I think, Lapo, it's important to actually have conversations with your children, understand them, look at their books, actually more than looking at their books, do their homeworks with them so that you see them. Would say, okay, this is, yes, you monitor. Would say, this is where you strive the most. This is where you lack. Okay. So by then, even when you're giving them advice, you're not giving them advice as per your worldview. Because also sometimes what parents tend to do is that they live their dreams vicariously through their children,
Is it
For
like, sorry? It's more like I wanted. I'm a parent. I wanted to be a doctor, but I could not
yes.
pursue that for certain, like for various amount of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And then now I want you to carry that for me. So I'm inflicting it
Yes.
into you.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Oh boy. All right.
Because that
Makes
that is
sense.
exactly, that's why they get to choose careers, because I couldn't be a doctor, so I will work so hard so that you live that dream for me. And I don't think they realize it, but they think that's the best way things should happen. I think, which is why I'll go back to what I said when this podcast started, the
Mhm.
therapy. I would strongly advise for all of us to make amends with our inner child, with every stage of your life that you feel like you have missed. This one is for parents, to make amends with that person and understand and grieve, because we don't just grieve people, we grieve missed opportunities as well. So if we do that, you're putting yourself and your child in a better position to be better. You don't have to impose anything.
Wow. How I really wish the parents are listening and really take some like really do something about it. So Balesa, like our parents justify sometimes, like you said something about failure and stuff. So is it necessary? Okay, let me make an example first for you to like just get this down. Let's say I'm working, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously, like as a child, like as me part of the family, I have to contribute a certain amount, in
Mm-hmm.
the family. And then well, let be it the case that my parents are working or not, and then I contribute let's say maybe 500 in family, like just
Mm-hmm.
for the family. And then parents get to be like, no, actually, this is not enough to like support the whole family.
Mm.
Okay. Now the case gets to be, why is it like now I'm being converted from being a child into a breadwinner? Do
Mm.
you think parents are justified to do that, like that action? Because we understand that, yes, you raised us, as like parents raised us and stuff. They were there for us, they paid for our fees. But come on, like I also have myself to take care.
Yes.
Do you think it's necessary? It's justified?
This is actually such a touchy subject. And I would say it's very, very debatable for a lot of reasons. For
Hmm.
example, our economy, unemployment. There's like a lot of reasons that
Yeah.
that makes it um, so difficult to navigate. But overall, no, parents are not justified to want to make you the breadwinner. I mean, it is good. It's just that parents feel like they own us and we owe them. I put you through school, so therefore you owe me. I did everything for you, therefore you owe me. And then they forget that that is my right.
Oh boy.
Education is my right. You should put me through school. I didn't ask to be here. Everything else that you did because it's your responsibility.
But
That's
it's
your responsibility as a parent. And that in the best world, ultimately parents should just be people that are with us as we try to navigate this life thing and grow up. And in the best case scenarios, it's always nice to actually have your parents even usher you into adulthood and be like, yo, I know you just started your new job and you're getting into that new flat, so don't worry, I'm getting your furniture and the rest, your rent for the first month will be paid by me while you try and navigate, because parents don't stop being parents. But unfortunately, because the economy is what it is, and you find
yeah.
that sometimes parents have have more children, and now when you are done, they're like, yo, -1. At least now you are going to help me, And futhi sometimes uthi nawe nawubuka lesimo ubone ukuthi if I don't help then who will, Because also we don't want to groom a culture where we think it's okay for us to neglect our family when we have the means to help. So what I would say is that have a conversation with your parents, tell them and make them understand that, hey, I can only help out through so much. It's also okay to say no to your parents, guys. I don't know if you knew this. Like, just exercise that thing.
Saying no to your parents.
I can't.
Yo, but let's say we have African parents. Like, imagine saying no to your parent. Everybody,
But it's not, though. It shouldn't be.
Like to them,
Exactly.
Like,
That's what I'm saying. Because sometimes Nialo utotikanza overwhelmed, stressed beyond measure because you're paying school fees swako, and not just that, you also have to send monthly groceries at home, and not just that, you also have to assist that other person that is in varsity. And by the time you figure winner, you realize that you don't have any for yourself. You can't even start your own family because you're busy trying to,
cover up
a lot of things, So it's okay to actually sit down with your parents and explain them with love that, hey, I'm sorry. I really am. I wish I could do more. But at the moment, ngikona keep 500 ngenyanga.
Wow.
Otherwise,
that's where comes if my family conflicts, as in like ma being a big song finally big eye breadwinner like higher, then maybe so penzuna girlfriend
Exactly.
Exactly.
La khaya as makoti because when uthatha imali yemnthanami, and it's like, no, I'm his person. Like that money is ours. So just exercise that thing of saying
No.
ish.
Maybe
not no, but
a polite way.
emandlami akafinyeleli kule nyanga. Yabo. Angeke ngikhone make kule nyanga because kunetinto lengizama kutilungisa empilweni yami,
I was once in a ship, where you would find that every time I get my salary, because obviously I have to do monthly contributions to like the family, So my mom was like, all right. I've been doing that for a year and a couple of months, like the contributions, and it's the same amount. But then when I was now in the ship, she was just like, no, I think this money is not enough. I'm like, come on. Like, we've been doing this for like a year and a couple of months, and then now you're saying it's short. Nah, it's just that, like this and this has to be done. I'm like, Mom, we've been doing that, and you've been affording it. And I'm like, yeah.
But I think again, also, like I've mentioned, it is weird for you to just now be like, you know what, let me just send 250 this month when you've been sending 500, Let's have the conversation.
Like,
so they know and they're
much?
ready and like they're expectant of the change, and you sit them down and you explain, you know what, just have the open communication. You know what, because of ABC and APC, I cannot pull through the way that I've been pulling through, So I think, can we cut down to this certain amount? So sekukuyeke noma uyathetha noma but you've mentioned it, and exactly, and then futhi don't do it ukuthi this month, just do it when you know that, okay, February, starting from March, I'm starting to send 250. Before the when you give out the 500, that allowance, if that's the situation you have with your parents, when you give out that allowance ya 500 ngale nyanga, usho ukuthi hawe imali yatike kule nyanga ngiyagcina ngokunika le mali engaka. Yeah. Starting from next month, these certain kind of changes are happening in my life.
Wow.
Have that conversation. So, because I think it's yasaba kulma ngemali, actually, not just like it's such a touchy subject.
And the thing lokho ngakusho ungamtshela ukuthi uhola malini. Ngicela ngileyo indlela le kahle. The salary yakho ukhiphe lo nayo.
Precisely.
Like, do you know that like a friend of mine, when he like started working, So he did that, in fact, until his mom just went straight to his workplace and then wanted to talk to the manager. And then, like, she was like, hey, I just want to find out how much my son is earning monthly. And when he told me, I was like, yo, bro, so how did that go? Instead of the money he was contributing, the mom demanded more. It's more like a
Yeah.
double of what the guy was, contributing.
This is abuse, but
Do you know? I think the best way parents need to do this is to, and it is, it actually is.
yeah, it
It's
is
financial
abuse.
abuse. It is. The best way parents can contribute to this thing, well, us, because, and anyone that still has the chance to do this parenting thing better, is to live your life. Parent, but live your life. You know, it's okay for you to go out for drinks as a parent with your friends. Don't abandon it. Have those things that are your pleasures that make you happy so that you don't feel like your children owe you. You've sacrificed so much for them, you know.
Yeah.
Some of the things, yes, there are certain things that will need sacrifice. But there are certain things that, for example, you'd find that if you'd actually sit your children down and you explain certain things to them, they'd probably understand, you know. So live that life in a way that, live your life in a way that you will never get to feel like your children owe you.
But life begins at 40, so
Exactly. You can always live it. Live it. Life is meant to be lived. You don't stop living because you're a parent. Life is meant to be lived.
But I hope that this does not get to be, I don't know, visualized in a wrong way, because we are not saying, because now we have teen moms, you see, like those ones.
Yeah, no, that's not to say that you need to neglect your children.
Exactly.
This has nothing to do with neglecting your children. It just has with pouring onto your cup occasionally in a responsible manner and understanding that you're a parent, in as much as your children come first. And as a matter of fact, you come first, but your children are as important, you know. So don't neglect. Don't be groovist every weekend when I in a day in and out as if you don't have children and now so only. So tata imali yabo. No, that's not to say that. Because also we need to accept the phases, the different phases of our lives that we're in, and accept the responsibility that each phase comes with.
And it's looking at the teen moms situation, I've noted like that nowadays, I don't know what's happening, but it's just the way they're normalizing it, the way they're putting it into fashion, that when as a teen mom you just give birth to a child and then they find it proper to just take their child and then go live it with the granny, like the grandparents and stuff, and then they just go, I don't want to call it neglecting,
It is neglecting.
Oh boy.
It is
And then
neglecting.
and then they just find it like the way it's so normal now. I'm like, wow.
But there's something that I always say. There's nothing new that is under the stars. It's not normal now.
It happened
It has
before.
been happening. People have been giving babies and leaving them. There's so many people that are our age that were raised by their grandmothers, and they'll tell you that my grandmother is my parent because the mother was nowhere to be found. Not just the mother, the father as well, because I think fathers do slack a lot and they are not given enough smoke for it. So yeah, it has been like that, and it is not okay.
Speaking of fathers, I was reading an article on Friday. So there they wrote that a 75-year-old dude apparently has been having these like he's been raping, his 15-year-old girl. Imagine, you know. Imagine. I just want to find out, like, what's it that leads to that? And yeah, like, what do you think is
It's
like the
pedophilia.
cause?
That's pedophilia.
Oh,
So
boy.
for those that don't know pedophilia, it's when a person is obsessed with having sex with minors. When a person loves to have sex with minors. That's a pedophile.
Oh yeah, like pedophile.
Yeah. He's a pedophile. There's nothing to say to him, but that's just that he's a pedophile.
I would like.
Use ingadi yakhe le ngumfana yakhe like ipinhliti.
Unfortunately, that's how it is, man. Like, yeah. Palesa, you want to say something? Oh yeah, like you can take over, Palesa. You want to say something?
Oh no, I was agreeing. I was in agreement with her. You know, it doesn't make sense, but they do it. You know,
It doesn't make sense. Like,
yeah.
And
for real,
for me, I think we should be happy that he was caught. You know why? Because in many families here, like here in our country, in our kingdom, you find that it's like no one gets to report it.
Yeah,
You know,
that's true. There's actually been a case where this man impregnated his daughter.
What?
And the daughter had a baby. I think it was around 15, 16 when she had the baby. And she lost her mind. Like she wasn't staying after. She wasn't staying after, but she had a baby. And that happened. The baby lived. This man started having sex with the granddaughter.
Are you for reals?
Yeah. So they're discovering that because the teachers now see that, hi man, you're pregnant. So they called social workers.
The granddaughter is now pregnant.
The granddaughter is now pregnant.
Wow.
In the same line. And now she's pregnant again.
Yo.
And so because these cases happen. It's not a these cases happen. And they are so prevalent in Makaya. The people do not have the information. Are still a thing.
And I really,
yeah,
it hurts.
Swaziland.
Like it hurts me, honestly.
I won't even say Swaziland. It's a worldwide thing.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
People are sick.
Really sick.
People are sick out there.
And
mentally, people are sick. Bashag.
And then that's when they like you will get to advise them that they should like go for therapy.
Always.
You know, it's quite interesting because like we have those cases where you find that people don't believe in therapy and they just feel like therapy it's for kids, therapy is for the modern world and stuff.
I'll tell you one thing about therapy. Therapy is a mirror. That means you get to sit down and you confront the darkness in you, the core of it. Nobody wants to do that. People want to cover up. People wear masks. People put on makeup just so they can hide who they are. So those are the dangers of therapy. You are telling me that I have to unpack and be naked, because practically that's what you're doing. You are bearing yourself to this stranger. And people don't want that.
That's the problem.
Exactly.
Stranger.
Yeah.
And
for some weird reason, I'll tell you this. That's the best way. Because first and foremost, as a therapist, believe me when I say I will lose my license if I dare break the confidentiality clause. I am bound to it. I cannot now I can never tell you come into my office and then you sit for therapy and then we sit down and then you talk and then I tell someone else. If you hear that, I can lose my license and I can never practice again because you broke the biggest ethical clause.
Okay, I hope you guys are listening.
So that's the safest place. And also you're talking to a person that has the means, that knows, that has the knowledge, that can navigate you through your emotions properly and safely. But with that said, sometimes you do find that people have, because we're people, you know, the same way I can meet you and we vibe and we gel and we're cool. And then the same way you can meet someone else and feel like energy off. It's the same way with therapists. Sometimes you will meet someone and it's not the right fit. Like, it's okay. It happens. It doesn't mean that they're bad at their job. It just means that it's not the right fit. You know, so it's okay to actually feel like, okay, you know what, let me try and find someone else.
So it's okay, like you're saying it's okay. like to just let me like change therapists and
Yeah, but sometimes people change therapists because they don't want to be held accountable.
what you mean now?
Because at the end of the day, I did say that therapy is a mirror, right? So a therapist, as a therapist, therapists are allowed to tell you when you're wrong, that no, that's a toxic trait and you need to work through it. No, you don't get to talk to people like that. No, the problem is you. You are the problem. So some people don't want to hear that. They don't want to be held accountable.
Like I wouldn't like it to be told that hey
Exactly.
I'm wrong.
Exactly.
Like imagine.
But overall, it's a beautiful process. It's painful. That's why people don't like it, because we have to go back and dig the things that hurt me, and you had no idea that they impacted to the person that you are today. You have to dig. You have to go back to that space. Sometimes you come back from a therapy session with a very heavy heart. Sometimes you come back feeling lighter, because each session is different than the previous one and the next. But the journey is healing, and healing is not linear, you know. Sometimes you think you're doing great, and then you wake up tomorrow and you feel like the world's on top of you. It's okay.
I can relate
Remember
to
that tomorrow you will rise again.
Sometimes you just feel like, you see, like now I don't see a need for these antidepressants.
Yeah.
I don't see a need to go to that particular session with my psychologist.
Yep.
I'm fine, man.
Yes,
like
it happens.
Yeah, I
It
have like that
happens.
energy, only to find that in a few days' time, you're
back.
gonna be even more worse than the last
You're
time.
back.
So niya when them follow-ups kuthi ngiyabekisa ke only to beke date that 22. Then bese skip up 22 akasaid.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is bound that we do follow-ups. Because it's a relationship at the end of the day.
Okay.
It's a relationship, and I am invested in a better you. There's an emotional attachment that comes with you walking in and pouring your heart. It's a relationship. So we are bound to do follow-ups, but also it's not a forced thing. If you don't feel like it, if a follow-up comes, okay, you coming for a session, you didn't come for a session, are you okay? Whatever, schedule for another one. You don't come for it, just maybe try to see even that one. But even after that, it's clearly you're not interested in it anymore. It's okay. But of which I would not advise people to decide for themselves that, you know what, I don't want it. Have a conversation with your therapist. Tell them that, you know what, I feel like I'm better and I don't think I need this anymore. And then you can hear them, because therapy is not supposed to be a long-term thing. You're just there to look and find for the tools to navigate through hardships. You need something that will help you get out of certain places. It's like you're in the rain, right? Therapy just says, oh, you know what? Next time have a small umbrella on your purse so that you know, and keep a jacket as well. It's like giving certain tools to navigate different difficulties. And then when you master it, sometimes you can always go back to those tools and be like, okay, so this is what my therapist told me that we need to do. Because at the end of the day, it's not meant to be a crutch that you can't live without. Exactly.
Okay.
So it's okay. If you feel like you don't need it, have a conversation with your therapist. I don't think this serves me anymore. That's okay. It's not supposed to be a long-term relationship.
Okay.
And
also, I think you talked about antidepressants. Those ones are key. I think before you get off antidepressants, have a conversation with your therapist.
Okay. Yeah. The reason why like I relate to what you're saying, like, when you feel like now you are good and you just feel like you don't need a psychologist anymore. Well, I've been there, I just feel like I don't need this one now. Even the antidepressant I'm taking, I don't feel like they're making like they're of use now. I'm fine, man.
I'm okay.
Like, I'm doing something exciting. My life is good.
And of which that means the antidepressants are doing their job, because you can't be depressed when you're on antidepressants. I mean, you can, but I think the whole process of it is to actually make you feel better. So now you're stopping them because you feel better, and neglecting the fact that the reason why you're feeling better is because of the antidepressants.
Oh, okay.
And then like I remember in okay, can you like maybe is it dangerous to like overdose, overdose, like, antidepressants?
It's dangerous to overdose any medication.
Oh boy. All right. Nah, like it's just I thought maybe it's not that dangerous
Any
with.
medication, because it comes with a prescription, it comes with the dose that you need to take that is healthy for you, that your body needs. So to overdose any medication, be it Panado, be it whatever, it's dangerous to overdose it because the person that prescribed it gave it to you in the right amount of dose that your body needs.
Huh. And while we're talking about parents, something just crossed my mind that I think parents should be willing to learn new things from their children. And it all goes back to what you said, parents opening, like creating the positive atmosphere. Parents
Mm,
should learn to should be more open to learning new things.
absolutely.
And don't just be like, oh, okay, your kid is correcting you about a mistake you made. And then feel like maybe your kid is like shadowing you and
Ngimzala
stuff.
ungitshelani? Wathini
Yeah,
Yeah,
wena?
like
Papa.
no, like no, it should
Wathini wena?
exactly. I feel like it shouldn't be like that,
It
honestly.
shouldn't. It shouldn't. Because it goes back to seeing your child as an individual that is capable of making their own decision.
Uh-huh.
See them, your children can teach you so much if you would just listen. But then the problem is that batali bevangathi ngimdzala yini lo ngangitshela yona.
That mentality.
Exactly. Ngimdzala ungangitshelani, I know better than you. And just listen to your children. There's so much that you can learn from them.
Wow.
Lokunye ngicabanga ukuthi uma bangashintsha leti khathi le ndlela lebebakhulisa ngayo laba bama-90s angisho njalo nekhulisa ema-2000 kuhlukile so kumele ba-adapt in a
No.
way.
No, but I think also, without criticizing our parents, it's also important to remember that our parents are doing better than their parents, right?
Uh-huh.
Nyalo, we are here, we are discussing the lack of emotional needs, Sometimes ukanza go ukuthi the way they grew up, they didn't even get to see their emotional needs. That's why our parents don't even see when they're depressed, because what is that? I gave you shelter, you have food, you have clothes, you're going to school. What more do you want from me? It's important to also see the world from their perspective so you understand them better, instead of always bashing their parenting style, because
Okay.
they are doing better than their parents. Every parent wants to do better. In the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, emotional need is like, hey, everything else, there's a lot, there's a lot
Yeah.
under it. The emotional need is the tip of it all, right? So we need to be grateful, which is a matter of changing your perspective.
Uh-huh.
We need to be grateful of the fact that actually we get to see that my emotional needs are not being met. That way, it is easier for us to understand our parents because we are always so keen on, no, you need to understand me. My mom doesn't understand me. But do you understand your mom?
Okay.
Just
Yeah,
like you
look,
said, that it's not like parents are like 100%
Exactly.
like responsible for their children's mental illness, but there is that like certain percentage, they contribute. Yeah.
Exactly.
ngikhumbula lesinye story like lo mfana like ngathini une-thinking kuba 2000 nje but yena utitshelwa ukuthi ma kwakhe unenkinga ma kwakhe la bahle bacoshana nani nani so uba like lomcoshile ekhaya but nosoyibuka le nto lo
She's
make
the one that's wrong.
une-interest akhe domestic worker 1 2 wamshiya i-university yamshana abantu amaningi 3 kuningi school fees so bese emva kwaloko soba like lo mfana no ma kungicoshile uyazelela ubuye ebusuku kuningi.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because also both can be true. We can both have a problem. That's where it
Yeah.
also needs to start off, like understand that I might have the problem. She might be the problem, So that's why it's always easy. And especially for us, we're still a young generation. It's easy for us to unlearn. Asking a 55-year-old to unlearn,
Oh.
you are telling them that their worldview is wrong. for
And
55 years.
Yeah,
You know?
guys.
So
And-
let's not expect something that we're not willing to give back our parents.
Okay.
it's more like telling a fish not to swim.
Exactly. Exactly. You know?
But it's interesting. I'm just listening to what Dee said, and it kind of takes me back to respect. Sometimes I just feel like we get to like overlook or maybe not mind respect. Like not to mind the significance. There's this saying that says charity begins at home, and I feel both a parent and a child, should learn to respect themselves first, because if you're able to respect yourself first, and then definitely, like automatically, the next person is gonna be able to like respect yourself. So I feel like with the word respect, like I feel the youth, in fact, the children get like should normalize, respect, like just respect in general.
Precisely.
Yeah. Not even here at home,
Just generally.
just general respect, because they say, fine, like I have my mom, I have my dad, but also like the next older person I meet out there, he or she is a parent too to me. It's not just go to now
That's
back
true.
on the others. No, they home
That's
tally
true.
game. So let's normalize respecting
Also,
people.
respect will put you in doors where your accreditation could never do. No matter how educated you are, if you don't have a certain level of respect, people will not want to grant you opportunities because you don't see people. So respect will walk you in doors that you never thought you could ever see yourself in.
Wow, that's really powerful. Wow, and yeah, I think for today, unless anyone has something to add, and we can take questions from our lovely audience. Anything, anything you guys want to ask? Sure, like these ones have questions.
No, I hear you, and most of the things that you're talking about are very valid, and I know that Konamanje there's a generational clash between abantu abadala nabancane. They don't understand each other. Old people will tell you that now bantwana bamanje, they don't respect, they don't listen, they are stubborn, they are all of the above. So I think they also do not understand. I would say, I don't know. I have a different perspective on certain things. I think we've lost ourselves, as in culturally, we've lost our culture. We are television people. We leave television. It's got so much influence on how we do things, and there's so many elements that are foreign that have actually made us lose our identity, and we don't know where to fit in. So I think that is a major issue. We have like adopted the American culture to be our culture, and anything that is foreign we take. We don't even have to go deep and look at what actually is beneficial for our societies. So I think that's where most of the things are misinterpreted. Besides the mental health thing, I think the behaviorally, we are consuming so much that is foreign, and we no longer have our values. There's certain shows that I see on television of it's the British parental show where you see infants, abancane like 3 years, 2 years, screaming at their parents like crazy. And you wonder, because you see, about democracy came with certain things. You allow everything. You can't beat a child, you can't do this. Discipline, ayikho. Because thina discipline ukuthi basishaya or basithethisa or basipanish. So manje all that is inhumane and it's very undemocratic. So i-discipline abantwana manje sebakhula, it's difficult to bring the order in a family. So everybody's a boss. So that's why they lose the respect of the parents, because they feel they can tell a parent where to get off. So I think that's a challenge that it will be very difficult to do unless we unlearn lento yokuthi we taking things from other people. I don't know what you think about that.
For me, I agree with you because I was having a conversation with one of our veterans here in our kingdom, and then he said the very same thing you are saying. Like, and to me, it made so much sense. I was like, wow, this is something we need to look into. Like it's more like we are now adopting the modern world, and forgetting ourselves as like our cultures, buve bethu. Because kahle kahle, when it comes to you, like knowing yourself, it's all centered in your culture, buve bakho nje in general. Okay, fine, you're Swazi, fine, but buve bakho, that's who you are, man. And then trying to now like shift from that and then adopting another culture, definitely you will like find yourself losing all these values, respect, and all that. Because when he says you find those infants screaming at their parents, well, now it's normal, it's normal. I remember back then in my like when I was growing, I wouldn't mind yelling at my mom. It's something I would do back then. But then I sort of like came to sense with myself, and I was like, no, man, this is not who I am actually. So yeah, I really agree with you, sir. On what you're saying, it's true. It's true.
I do think that it is true. We need to go back to our roots. But then um, the other thing is that unfortunately, the world the world is moving to a universal space where everything is shared, the values are shared, and that is where we forget our roots because we are trying to fit in with, for example, the Americans. I feel like they're the biggest influence of everything that is happening in society today. So I do think that a lot of things get lost in translations. But with that said, I do think that there are also a lot of positives that come with learning things from other cultures. But it's just important to do it in a way that you don't lose your roots.
Yeah, like make sure you handle it in a responsible way, you know. Yeah.
And into lembi attracteka melula. So
no,
yeah.
it's easy and it's nice.
Huh.
I professionally, I'm in the media. I'm a filmmaker. I'm a producer. I also look at the world. We deal with situations like currently. I would tell you that the kind of influences that America does have, they have certain goals. It's not that all these things are bad with the democracy, but they've used those things to actually push their own agenda of hegemony. Everything that is American is good. Everything that's not American is not good. And even the things that they say they're not good, when they're not good, enziwa yibo, they would not say it's not good. Okay, a practical example is one. They talk about democracy. They talk about all these things. There is a war now between Israel and Palestine. They've been criticizing Russia for like attacking Russia and all those kind of things. They say, oh, they even took Putin to the ICC, the International Criminal Court. They say he committed criminal acts. And now we have another country that is a very tight friend of America, killing people left and right and center, doing the worst than what the other guy was doing. He was taken to the ICC because he took Russian speaking kids from Ukraine who were bombed by Ukraine. Because they're Russians, they have to leave Ukraine and go to Russia. And then when he took those kids to Russia, they say he took Ukrainians. So they were looking for an excuse. So that's why they did that. But now the same principles which they should apply to other countries, they don't if the country is very close to them. So you see, with the lento leyo, it's very hypocritical, and again, it's basically that's why America pushes their gospel so that everybody should follow America. And I'm telling you, even here in this country, they would come here and support somebody else that supports their mindset. As long as that country is perpetually fighting, perpetually, because to them it's good, because any country that is not progressing, it's good for them, because then you are not going to be able to be self-sufficient. So you have to be dependent all the time. So politically, it also actually messes up the ordinary people. In the States right now, people are toying, saying they don't want the Bafuna ceasefire. Can you imagine a country that doesn't want people to go to peace? Because right now, everybody in the world, they say, let there be peace in Palestine, at least peace. Let's cease fire. Let's hold on and sit back and then start talking and negotiating for peace. They don't want that. Why? Because America is creating the arms. They're selling arms. They make their economy based on selling arms to anybody that is fighting. So it's business to them. So they will go and create wars so that they can actually be able to rotate. Economy of Manje is about 33 trillion in debt. And they would actually now, because another thing about China that did doing away with dollar, there's BRICS, which is very much something that is making them like freak out. So America is in trouble right now. They've also have their own issues. So all those things, what happens now? It affects the world, affects the economy of the world, all of it. Kusasa lana so besihlupheka sithi, hey, our governments are failing to support us or do well. But it's not because of them, it's because this thing comes from somewhere else. It affects everybody else. So it's a massive problem. It's a problem, yeah. So you can imagine, yeah, ukuthi if the society is skewed, there's so many problems that are even your parents are dealing with all those repercussions that comes from the world as our stress levels. The kids are going to face it. The parents are going to. We are in a mess. Yeah, unless the world is in order and you have an order that is peaceful. That's what Russia is trying to do. That's what China is trying to do. They say they want a unipolar world where each and every country can be powerful and stand alone and not depend on any other country, so that they can actually use their resources to make sure that their people are happy and their people live. And once that can happen, then you find ukuthi the families, you start building families. You will be surprised if you were to look at Uguglishe in the States and look at homeless people in the States. I don't know whether you have seen those pictures where there are tens and tens and tens of people that are
I've seen them in
in
some
America.
sleeping cars and all that.
Exactly. How can a world that is very powerful and very rich have such a kind of situation in their own country? And then we expect Uti, they are going to be able to bring peace in the world. So it's just I would say it's not only, it's bigger than just you and your parents. It's just because yeah, they also go through a lot of frustration. Things are very tough, and they don't know what to do. And then nabantwana nabo bafuna izinto ezithize, they need attention. So it becomes like a chain reaction that is endless.
Very, 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 very true. And now I understand, honestly. I it's more like what Balesa said at first, that no, parents don't contribute 100%, but they also, in fact, they also have their own certain stress issues they are dealing with, you know.
I think by how he's put it maybe is that maybe we should also look at how does your whole environment or the world affect you. So the whole world includes your friends could affect your mental health, your
Exactly.
school, your country, your city, the continent, everything is interrelated. So maybe we should try and look at ways, okay, what are easy ways to cope with the changing world,
Yeah.
to improve your mental health? Maybe if we
Okay.
have topics that go around that, okay, let's try and find out how do people in Finland, if they say, I don't know, they usually have these studies where they say the happiest people in the world, then they have like countries. I don't know how they calculate that. Maybe we could look at that. How do those people survive? Why are they happy? Or what's the state of their mental health? I don't know.
And
Yeah.
like,
Okay.
like it's actually like an episode that's coming up before March. It's just like we're still doing the whole research thing, you know. We're planning on having that actually, and it's really, I feel like it's essential, really, really essential.
I think ukuthi mina, in order for the youth to understand the world, they have to understand politics. Because unfortunately, I live in South Africa, and in South Africa, youth labor political. It was the one Yabuma June the 26th, June the 16th. Manje, the youth here, manje, they are not into politics. They don't give a damn about voting. They don't want to vote. They don't even, don't tell me about politics. But politics is actually the way affects your everyday life, you see. And until we understand that, then we will have the power to change things. Because if you have people that are in government that are corrupt, and you want to move them, you move them. If you want, until you get the right people, but until politics understand that, um, we are not just sitting. I'm telling you about in South Africa, the ANC has been in government forever, and they think they even say it would, we've been government for until the Jesus comes back. Or so that's their slogan. But the yenziwa into leyo, it's because they are so confident ukuthi they were the liberators of the country, and nobody's going to tell anybody, nobody's going to want to go and vote for white people and things like that. Of course, it puts people in a dilemma because they don't want white people, because they are still afraid of what may happen. Because Nazis, okay, they are not genuine. They will be using black people just so that they can say, okay, vote for us. But we know exactly how they do things. So basically, in the world right now, I don't think the youth have been very instrumental in shaping the world. And if the youth can understand and have that power, because the power is with them, because there are so many in numbers. And if you can actually move the youth to have a say in the running of governments, then probably things could move, could change. But Nakona, they have to be very much aware of what is happening so that they can know exactly why they are choosing who they are going to choose. Because esinye isikhathi, we even say in SA that they don't want to keep people educated, because if you're very educated, then you become very smart. So sometimes they would rather keep you, but thola ama 300 rand, go, so nikeza the young kids, sibanikeza imali, those girls that are pregnant, we subsidize them with, So in a way, when it's time to vote, you think, hey, am I going to get my 300? Am I going to get the child's fee? And then you go back and say, no, they would rather have this same government because they are taking care of me. So it's a very wrong mentality, because it's a mentality of dependency, and you don't look at situations in the way that they look. Yeah.
Emvelo ishoko iliciniso ukuthi abangeni nge-politics cause bekunalomnye umhlangano ka-UNICEF lebeka khona and kwakhulunywa indzaba yokuthi-ke like bekwe-suggestion nje ukuthi like abaside since bekune-COVID, i-COVID yenta imvelo etiningi batali badendwa emisebentini and whatsoever. So kwaba nalokuthi like abaside kufunele layo tinamba talabamfana laba-drop out because a lot of children ba-drop out etikolweni. So aba like bona-ke bayasiva and le situation le lesiyishoko bayayazi and i-touching. But makungeta le youth ihlangane, then bese sebamikisa ama-petition yenze le process. But nosohleli wethu uyibuka, okay, probably ngasida but utayithatha le youth leta banalesibinzi nale courage ekuthi lapho.
It's what like I was in a meeting with the with the counselor, and he was like, for the youth to actually better up their lives, number one, in fact, not number one, like there are some key things that they need to look at. Number one, they must unite, and number two, they must be organized. It hit me deep. Like I was like, you know what, this guy is making so much sense now, because he even said that what like the youth's mentality now is that they want to do, like, one person wants to do his or her own thing, and just work alone. Yet there's a lot of things that like need to be done. Just unite and collaborate with that person, share your resources, and be organized too. Wow.
I think it's a very touchy subject because sure bantu labasha abafuni man. No abafuni, they're we are mostly focused on the present joys, which is exactly why people go to groove. That is where they find joy. That is where you'll find them day in, day out. And my argument is, if those people rallied and actually rallied for a worthy cause, leti nombolo, letia a groove in and out, rallied for a worthy cause, that would make such a big difference. But because we are so occupied with wanting present comfort without thinking about our future generation, we don't want to fight for our future generation. I think he made an example of how the previous youth was very invested, and it's only because they knew that they didn't want their children to grow up in that environment. Tina, all we do is complain. And someone once told me that you criticize the government so much, but I just have one question for you. As an individual, what have you done? Just you and you alone. Like, let's argue with, okay, I've done this and this and this, but the government has never met me halfway. And I only saw stars because as an individual, I have done absolutely nothing. But we are so quick to criticize that the government is not doing so much. So I do think that as youth, we need to be more involved into the future of our children. Like, because right now, as is, we are not happy about a lot of things. But the only thing we're doing is complaining. We're not doing anything. And as he has mentioned, that we don't want to involve ourselves in politics. We don't even understand politics. And then the question is, how do we plan on changing the world? Because the only way you can change the world is through politics. So we also... Exactly. One day we will be in charge of the country, and we're not getting involved. When are we going to learn? When it's time for us to rise to the occasion, what are we going to give out? Absolutely nothing.
They say the youth is our future, but if the youth is nowhere near looking at the future,
Exactly.
there's
Exactly.
Manje nangabe uyacampaign ke una-25 bakutshela ukuthi wena hamba uhlale ekhaya ufuna umsebenzi uthini-ke.
That's why you have to. That's why you have to come together and make it
Exactly.
bigger.
Okay.
Exactly. Because and it's not just South Africa. Even in Swaziland, how many people actually voted for MPs? I, for one, know that I'm guilty to have not voted.
Okay.
Like those things. I for one, I know I'm guilty to have not even registered. So it's a lot of things. And if we say we want the youth to have a seat, who is going to vote for the youth to have the seat if we're not voting for our own?
Yeah.
In South Africa, the youth have now got a voice in EFF. I'm just making an example of youth. Not that maybe I subscribe to them or not, but the thing is, it is a youth and everybody that is young in South Africa, be it Guti, he understands politics, they feel they can identify with them. So that's why they're getting so much numbers when the other political parties are going down. I mean, they fill the stadiums like nobody's business, But Nakona, it's just knowing Guti, there is a grouping that actually it's actually going to take care of their concerns. And Lento Groover are also, I take it as not goodbye groove abantu. They are just running away from problems. That's like, yeah, but when you say my problems, and you say, let me go and have a piece of EP just to get away from your issues. The grooving part here, youth, is because of running away from the responsibilities and the things that actually worries them. Yeah, bon. Because then you forget about all your worries when you're
I
drunk.
think it's so unfortunate that we're out of time because I feel like that's another whole conversation of its own.
All right, folks. It seems like we have to just have this episode on its own, and then a detailed one, in fact. So from me to you today, it's a new year, and I hope those New Year's resolutions are already in execution. You have a plan, you have an idea, start utilizing those. In fact, start implementing those ideas. Start working towards the goals you've set for yourself this year. And look, yes, there's always gonna be critics and stuff like that. But hey, just forget about that. Do you now? Now it's your time. Do you and forget about the rest of the world. And also, make sure that you collaborate with your peers or a group of people, So in order for y'all to succeed and be where you want to see yourselves, and remember, you have a dream, do it.
Start small.
Yeah, everything from humble beginnings. Start small. Yeah, and no baby was born today and then he started walking the very same day. It doesn't work like that, my people, the lovely listeners. So that's it from me to you. Get 'em all. Palesa, do you have anything to say?
Just take care of your mental health, good people, and forgive your parents, understand your parents, and parents also need to do the same.
Straight up. D?
We love you, take care of yourself. Yeah.
It's a Tuesday today. Just choose your mental health, man. Anyways, that's it from us to you. Now we'll see you on next episode. But hey, before, Palesa, do you have a question for our next guest? Don't mind any just any question. Just any question. Don't mind the topic or anything. Do you have a question for our next guest?
You just put me on the spot. Maybe the next guest can talk about different ways in which you can improve your mental health as a person.
All right. There you heard it for yourselves. And guys, we love you. And exiting today's episode is none other than get them all. Of course, I have to get them all, but I ain't got no option. Bye.